Hey guys, Kevin here. I've got a little project to do today. We've got a heat pump to install. It's delivered by Poolset. They have I think they sent me the 14 kilowatt heat pump on their site, and I've got some sort of an idea what I want to do. It's quite a spaghetti junction inside my pool house. I've got to get the pipes running from the sand filter outside to the pump. It's going to sit outside on the back wall. So there's a lot of things that I sort of can and can't or will use. I've got quite a bit of stuff on the table here I'll run through with you just to show you what I might use. There's drills and grinders and things like that I might not use. Firstly, the fittings. I've gone to the local hardware store and got a bunch of 40mm fittings because that's what my pump outlet is, all 40 mils. The heat pump also takes 40mm inlet on their unions. So fittings on the table here, you'll see I've got some 90s, some 45s. We've got a little bit of a 45-degree wall, so we'll have to run around the side of the wall, which is 45s. Some just normal joiners, some compression glue. This is the glue that you'll use to join all the pipes up. It's the high pressure glue, not the normal one. Then we've got the main two sort of fittings here, which will divert water from your pump past your sand filter to the heat pump and back again. And this is a non-return valve, so obviously water can't go the other way. When you'll see when I get to it how it all's going to work. All right, on the other side of the table we've got all the tools I might use. There's hammers, chisels, got some angles, some tape measures, your safety equipment, things like that. All right, let's get into it. I'll do a quick unboxing, show you what we have, what we're going to do, and then we'll move to the pump house, sorry, and we'll see what we got there. Okay, here's the heat pump from Poolset. I was quite impressed with the deliveries. It was really quick and easy. The guy had a nice truck and forklift, and he has managed to put it exactly where I asked him. So it was, yeah, nice and easy that way. See if we can slide these off the sides. Might be too hard, although I'll have to get my cutter out. There it is. Okay, I'll take a bit of these off. Really like the color of it. That looks really good. This is the box that we have from the side. We'll see what's in there. It's most likely all the unions. That's it. Okay. There's the installation manual. We'll get that out and have a look at that in a minute. And I'll just pour these all out into the box. Okay, we have, these are little rubber feet for underneath each leg. There's one union and another one. And some, these must be drain hose fittings. All right, now that we've got all that, we sort of know what we're dealing with. I'll sort of explain where it's going to run and how we're going to get it to outside. It might change as we go along and find that there's things in the way that we don't see. All right, let's go have a look. Okay, so we got the water outlet and inlets on the left-hand side of this unit. So we'll go, what I think we should do is take it up off the pallet. It's screwed down onto the pallet at the moment. Take it off the pallet, move it around to where it's sort of going to sit, and we can see what we're going to have to get the pipes to. We can go from there. All right, let's get it off the pallet. We have the installation document that comes with it. What I'm looking for is this here on how to place the unit, how far away from the wall. It says 300 mil off the wall, and then 700 each side for clearance. It's mainly for airflow. We have sufficient left-right. It's just the back that we have to make sure we're around 300 off the back of the wall. Other than that, I think we're good to do that. And then the other parts are all the drawings on how it's going to connect up to your current system. We have a sand filter as well, and we'll run through that as we go through it. But we'll take you around the back now and just see where we're going to locate it, where the pipes are sort of going to run, and then we'll get cracking. It's going to be a messy job. We've got to cut through some concrete walls, but we'll get there. All right, let's go around the back. All right, here's what we've got to deal with. It's our little pool pump house. Spaghetti junction, like I said, there's pipes going everywhere. We sort of need to connect the heat pump to the outlet of the sand filter before the chlorinator. So we don't want chlorinated water going through the pool pump and the heat pump, just for reasons you destroy the pump sometimes. So what we'll do is at the back of this, there's an elbow that goes towards the chlorinator. We'll cut that elbow out and we'll put in the new valve. That valve will then divert the water from the chlorinator, before the chlorinator, around the back of the pump house, down the floor, and then out the back wall. So if you come around here, you'll see that the back wall that we have to get through is a Besa block concrete wall. There's already a pipe coming down from the top hot water system. So we'll most likely go below it or above it and then cut this and move that up. But we'll have a look outside. I've placed the heat pump outside to see roughly where we're going to go, and then we'll determine whether we're going to go above this pipe, cut it, or go below it. So yeah, let's have a look back. We're going to need two pipes going out. One's for obviously the cold water inlet, and the other one's the hot water outlet, and they'll both need to come through that wall and back to the chlorinator, before the chlorinator. All right, let's have a look outside and see where we put it. So this is the location. Here's the heat pump location. We're going to have it on this back wall. It's the best sort of route around. We're not going to trip over it too much. What I'll do now is I'll just move it the 300 that it needs to be for airflow off the wall. It's got little rubber feet that I've got it on. Once we have it in place, it'll probably move around a bit, and then we'll screw it down onto the deck just to hold it there. It's a little bit less than 300, but we'll play with that as we go. Now here's like I was saying, the cold water inlet and the hot water outlet. They are going to have to come out, turn a 45 degree. This wall is 45, so we'll turn 45 against the wall, as close as we can get, and then head towards where we're going to come out of the pool pump house. And here is the little pipe that we showed before coming out. I think because the inlet is low, we'll probably come below this and then put the cut in the wall below it, and have the two pipes coming out, and then the hot water can come up to the top of the heat pump. So what I'll do now is I'll just mark out the height that we need to cut, get a bit of tools and see if I can get through that. Alright, what I'll do is I'll mark roughly 40 mil. This is a 40 mil pipe as well. Oh, it's actually a 50, but that'll do. So we'll mark this and then go 40 mil down times 2 from the bottom of that pipe I'll go 100, so 240s or 80, and we'll give it some room. Obviously, once we chip the wall out, there'll be won't be 100% smooth. So that's sort of what we want. We can go rounded corners, but yeah, we're just gonna chip it out. What I'll do in the end is plaster around it again, have the same look, repaint it, and you won't know anything about it. Alright, so what I'll do is, this is a Besser block that runs down. I'm just going to drill a couple holes in places right through, which will give it a clean breaking point. Besser blocks are normally hollow inside, so luckily, if I'm lucky enough, I'll find a few points where it'll actually just snap quite nicely off that line if I get a few pilot holes right through. And then we just use a hammer and chisel and chisel it out. Hopefully not breaking this pipe. Right, so I've just got a hammer drill with quite a long bit. It's obviously too long, but that's what I had. And we'll go in each corner first. Put one there, and then move its way up. Alright, it'll be a bit noisy, but so like I was saying, we must have hit a wall there because that one was solid all the way through, and this is the center of the Besser block, so it's got two walls either side with a hollow spacer in the middle, which will be nice. It'll crack nicely on that. Okay, now we'll see if it's going to crack. We'll put a chisel on, just give it a bit of a... What I'll do actually is my tool becomes a chisel, which will be easier to chisel this out, this hard point. Alright, hoping that'll snap now. Once I get it. Chip a little bit away from the other side, but I think we're good. That'll do. Alright, let's get some tape measures out and we'll do a few dry fitting things first. We can put the unions in there and then get a nice feel of how far that way this needs to be to bring the pipes close enough to the wall so they're not sticking out really far. So these are 40mm unions. They'll go in there. There's an O-ring on the inside as well as the outside. So we've got a big O-ring there which seals against the face of that, and I'll put some O-ring or rubber grease lube to go on to make sure it's got a good seal. This one looks like it's got a bit on it. And then what we'll do is with the bend, because we've got a 45-degree wall, I'm using a 45-degree bend, which will bring it exactly in line of the wall that I'm looking at getting to go through. We won't angle it down or anything. We'll get it straight first, and then drop them down to where we need to go before we get to the hole. So, all right, I'll do some dry fit cuts. We'll do a little cut here to get this as close as we can. And how I'll do that is just do a measurement from the inside face to the inside face of this, and those two added up will be the smallest amount of pipe I need, and then I'll give it an extra 20 mil or so, just so we're not touching, so we can push it in nicely. We'll do 2 of those, because then this one's almost perfect to go straight in, this one will drop. Alright, so let's cut 2 of those, and then we can see with an extra piece of pipe how close we want to get it to the wall. Okay, back at the bench, what I'll do is I'll do those little cuts. I've taken one of the little unions off one of the sides of the heat pump just to show you the measurements that I was talking about before. So inside you'll have a ridge that you can see the exact amount of pipe needed to fill that whole space. That's 30 mils. And then on your little 45s you'll see there's little notches, and that's as far as your pipe will go to. It'll bump up against those. So you take it from that notch to the edge, and it's also 30 mil. So that's probably the standard for most of them. It's going to be 30 mil depth that we need. So combine the 2, that's 60 mil, and then we're going to give it a little space, probably 70, 75 mils. So we're getting a 10, 15 mil space. Now on just got this little 90-degree jig that it's very simple, and it helps get a nice clean cut. You want to get it as straight as possible, otherwise you're going to get distances inside that you're not needing. So what I'll do is I'll cut the factory end. This is a 4 meter length of 40 mil. It's the thick wall, pressure wall pipe. So I'll cut the edge because it's really badly cut from the factory. I'll just give it a nice clean edge first up. And then we've got some sandpaper just to deburr the edges. So it cleans up the pipe for gluing. Okay, then we take our 70, 75 mil off that to get our around there. That's one. I'll do both exactly the same size so we come out of the heat pump together. I'll do this one. Okay, now what these will do, will go in there. I'll put some water on it just to get it nice and smooth. Otherwise it won't go far enough in if it's not. Once the glue's on, it's like a lubrication that pushes it nicely in. Otherwise, when it's dry, it's really tight. So we'll go do that, put it on nicely, and then see where we're at. Cut a temporary piece of pipe just to see where we're going. I'm going to go 1400 and we can cut it back once we've moved it. So we probably want it to be around there. Alright, so that's where we'll look to come in. This is probably almost level. Alright, I think I'm happy with that. Alright, let's take it off. Those two, those two, those two. With the compression priming fluid and the glue. This is high pressure glue, so it can withstand the pressure of the pump. What you do first up is with the primer, you rub the primer on, and what it does is it sort of softens up the PVC, so the glue can take a nice hold. And you normally do it insides both fittings. Take that off. We're going to need that on. We won't get it over the pipe. So I'll do all the priming first. Let that settle in. With the glue, you again give both sides what you're gluing. Nice uniform amount, not too much, it will squeeze out. If it doesn't squeeze out, you probably haven't put on enough. And you push it all the way in until you see it touch those pieces, and then you know you've got it. You've got it to the right point. And there's a nice amount of glue that's come out, and it's called, set a nice bead on there. So that's a good seal on that one. Again on this one. Now those should dry within a few minutes. You'll see they're going tacky ready. Probably give it an hour after you do it if you turn on your water before that. Then with these, this can go in any way, even if I put it at any angle, because I can always turn the union to where I want it. So I'm not really fussed on which angle I'm getting it to, just because of that fact that it can go any way. So I'll glue those two pieces on there. And then that reaches to the end. You want to wipe off any glue that's messed on the actual face, because that's where the rubber, the O-ring will sit. So just make sure that's nice and clean. Okay, those two are nicely set in. Faces are clean, no glue on them to cause the water leak. Once those are set up, I'll take them back, fit them up, and then we'll get the pipes connected and glue them on too. Okay, let's go have a look, rejoin, reset these, check the angles we need, and then come back to the bench. Snug. All right, so we've got our unions all glued up with our 45s. We've put them on the hot outlet and the inlet, roughly there. Now what we want to do is see the distance to where we have to do a 90 into the wall. So the bottom one is the simple one, straight in. The top one you're going to have to bend down, and what I'll do is I'll take a 45 down to it at the right distance to get it in there. So we'll do that one next. We just need to get this distance. I'll put the tape in, butt it up against the little fitting, and this fitting is usually pretty much on that always, so it's a 30mm in. Set that up around there, 1350, and that should fit in there nice and snug. Okay, let's get our 1350 piece set up. Okay, there's our piece. We'll go dry fit it, make sure that it's the right length, and then we'll come back for the next one. Okay, we have we'll take this all apart first. We'll put it in, just dry fit it, make sure we get roughly where we need to go in. And this one will come in to there. And we should have enough to go there. Wouldn't want it any further than that. That's why we moved the whole system that way, to bring it in closer. Alright, so that's the bottom inlet set up. We'll do the outlet. If we come down, it'll bend in. So we have to come with a 45 here and then down to there. So we'll set that up with some tapes and then cut it up. Alright, so we've got that sort of dry fitted. I brought this across, just a temporary piece. You're going to have to cut it at the right angle. Got it nice and level, so that's sitting there. Now what's going to happen is, with this one going in on top of that pipe, like that, it's going to spin up at a 45-degree angle. It'll meet up with this at a 45-degree angle there. We can use a 45 to go straight across there. Try and get this angle, this cut at the right distance and this cut at the right distance to meet at a perfect 45. So what we'll do is, I want to set this one up first, and then we'll be able to tell how far up the line it is. So we've got our 45. So we're going to have to lift that to get a rough 45 there. And then we'll be able to give this a 45 there, equal that. So if that's the top of that pipe, we can say that when this gets to the top point, because it's 45, it'll reach the top point in there, which will be our perfect cut line. We'll probably take it back 10 mil from the top of that 45 to reach those points that we're going to come into. And once that's there, that should then go straight down 45 and into the hole. Right, let's take that up, do that 45 properly, and then we'll cut it up. So we're at the bench now. What we've got to do, I've marked the center of the 45 that we saw at that perpendicular point. So we know at the top of that will be the length of the pipe that we need, minus the 10 mil sort of leeway that we need. So what I'll do is I'll get the 45 at that point with an eyesight and put it there and come back slightly to the point that we need. And then we can cut that, which will be the length of the pipe. Okay, all right, so now we'll put this in, dry fit this again. All right, so now we'll get the distance from the top of that into this. So we'll come back 30, 230 from the 60. So it's 290 distance we need to there. So I'll quickly go do a 290 cut. Alright, that's the two in and outs. Now we can focus on inside. Okay, so now we're inside. You can see the test pipe that I've put through that's connected to the inlet, the bottom of the pool heater. We're now going to do another 45 because we've got a 45 here. Makes it all fun. Now this piece here I've got just as a line of sight to see how far I need to cut this pipe as well as the next one that goes on top. And this is going to go in between this and this pipe. So we've got these two pipes here, which is the waste pipe and the pool return. So we'll come in and this is just going to be in the line of sight. So I can see roughly in the middle of that. We're almost good where we are. So the cut that I had before, I think I can use that. I don't need to cut that one. So I'll put it on for now. So you'll see what I'm going to do is once it comes around, I'll bend this one up, which will be able to come in to the feed. And then the other one will be on top, which will come up before it. So that's good there. It'll pass that pipe there that I'm touching. So what I'll do now is I'll get another piece exactly the same length as this. So it'll be on top and run exactly the same as the one underneath. And that'll make it nice and neat. So I'll pull this out. Okay, so I'll make one, like I was saying, exactly the same size as this one. Okay, so we've got the two lengths. We'll go dry fit those, and then the second piece will be coming up to connect up to the lines. All right, so I've gone ahead and made a dry fitting of my non-return valve that's coming from the hot water side of the heat pump. It'll come up the wall, through here, and then back in to the chlorinator. You'll see when I show you where it goes. Then I've just set it all up all nice 90 degrees as best as I can. The way that I've taken little measurements here and there to get this sort of right. The reason why it's sort of right is this is going to be on a piece, so this will be a variable part of the install. This will come up exactly in place, and then this can just be inside that pipeline somewhere. So I've got it sort of where I want it. We'll go dry fit it now, take this measurement, and then we can actually cut through the pool return line and fit in this T-bracket coupling, and then we'll see how it all goes together. All right, let's go. Okay, we're in here. So this is the return line from the heat pump. Now it's going to go a 90 degree from there up. We'll get this down a slight bit to get it level. It'll come straight up and then connect in once it's there. It'll connect into the return line just before the chlorinator. So that's why I was saying this part of the pipe is sort of variable. I can play with it here and put the T in where I want it to get all the lines lined up nice and straight. So that looks about good there. This non-return stops water going back towards the heat pump, because this is the outlet of the heat pump. The arrow on the top of this glass head will show you the direction of flow. No water can go the other way, which when you turn off the heat pump with the valve, no water will go back down this line. And when you set in your valve, your three-way valve, to push a certain amount of water through your heat pump, you'll be able to see the water flowing through the glass lid and get your flow rates correct for the heat pump. Alright, now we're going to cut this main line, the line going to the chlorinator, where the T is going to be in place, and we can dry fit that and finish off the top end, and then we can go onto the inlet of the heat pump. That's the start of the T, and then we know by now that everything's about 30 mil in, so we're going to have to go in 30 mil and then on the other side go in 30 mil again to the other notch. So we'll go in 30 and 10, 20, 30. There will be a bit of water in these lines. There you have it. Oh, that should fit the T in. If we undo this, this will give us the free play we need to get this T on. And if we bring our valve, our non-return valve, that should go in there nicely. And then we should be able to see whether we've got a good distance to where we need it down the bottom. Get that straight. And this part here needs to be around there, which is pretty good. And that's where the pipe touches the other pipe. And I'll just go and cut that one to fit. Pretty much spot on if you go and cut it on that line, if you did what I did and had the pipe sitting next to it, because these noggins inside are very close to the other noggin. On the other side you're losing about 5 mil, or not even. So I'll come back a tiny smidgen, and this is the pipe we don't want. That's the one we do. So I'll come back a slight bit. Okay, let's go fit this piece. And that's about where we should be. By the time I've glued it all, everything should tighten up as well, so we've got a bit of leeway to play with this and bring that down more. I'm happy with that. Alright, let's move on to the inlet line. So this is the main three-way valve that's gonna divert water from your normal cycle through your chlorinator through the back side to your heat pump. So inside you'll see when you close the valve, it'll open up on the other side. So as you reducing the amount of flow through this valve, you're increasing the amount of flow through that valve until the point where that side's completely shut and that one's completely open, and you'll have a flow through that way. So this has to be mounted so that's closed to the heat pump, and that's your flow in. So what I'm going to do is cut this 90-degree elbow out and put it in there. And luckily, looking at it, if I cut on the elbow, on the end of the elbow, it's going to be pretty much exactly what I need to fit in to this joint. So I'll just cut straight on the edge of these points, and this should fit nicely in there. And then we can take our inlet to the heat pump down to the ground. I'm going to take this off here and cut it, just so it's easier. Right, let's just snip this off. Don't lose that. That should go in there. So if I want hot water, I'll do that, or do that to run normally. It'll just bypass the whole system, the heat pump system. It will not return back this way because of our non-return valve on this line. So that's now in place, and what we'll do here is we'll put an elbow in, go straight across the same as the other line, drop down and meet up with our inlet line on the floor. Chop, chop, chop. Okay, so the dry fit's all done. We've got the inlet that we've just finished now. So if you come over here, you'll see where it runs from the back. So we've got our three-way valve coming from our outlet of our pool filter, which is filtered water. It'll hit the three-way valve going normally to the chlorinator and then to the inlet of the heat pump. So we've got the elbow going across. This will go to the end, it'll drop down, and another elbow at the bottom, which will then go across into a 45 and then out the wall to the heat pump. So that's pretty simple. That connection's all there. Now all we need to do is just double check everything again, just make sure we've got all the angles right. Some of them are a little bit too high. I might cut a slight bit off, rather too long than too short, I say. Then once it's all ready, we can start gluing, and then that's home run, I think. For now, yep, let's start gluing it all up once we're happy. Okay, so what I've done is, to make my life a little easier, I've put little black markers on each one of the each one of the joins that I'm going to glue. That way I can come out here, glue a bunch together, which will pretty much make the base of everything else go a bit smoother. Once it's all, something's hard set, the rest sort of flows a bit easier. I'm going to leave this main one here off so that we can put it in at the end, so we've got at least one point of movement. Should dry nicely while we play inside. Alright, so we'll go inside and start gluing up the rest. All right guys, that's the most that I'm going to get done. The next part is the electrician's job. What you can see here is the Poolset heat pump, 1400 kilowatt. It's sitting outside against the wall. It's got a nice gap, a 300mm gap for airflow. It's in a nice ventilated area. As you can see, there's a good draft through. There's no other walls around, so I'm not too concerned about any constriction with heats and things like that. What I will do once the electrician comes and installs the electrics on it, we'll fasten the feet down on that so it doesn't move. We have the two pipes coming in from our sand filter and pump. It's got an inlet, which is the cold side if you're heating the water. The inlet goes in, heats the water up or cools it down if you want it cool in summer, and pushes it out the top, which both go through this hole and into the pump house. So the top pipe coming through the wall is the out and the bottom's the in. The in will flow around the back and come up to a three-way valve which diverts the amount of water that we want to go through the heat pump, mainly because too much flow through a heat pump will not cool the water efficiently. So this valve set at a certain angle will allow water to still go through the normal path through your chlorinator, or slight water, the right amount of water to go through your heat pump to cool efficiently. You can also shut it off when you don't need it. You will then have the outlet of the heat pump coming through this one-way valve, stopping water flowing back down to the heat pump, and that will just directly go back in. Because the side is pressurized, it will not want to flow that way. It'll flow that way out to the release of the return of your pool and the chlorinator. And that's about it for the pipeline install. The next will be the electrician. He'll use the DB board on the side and wire it in. He'll send it out. And then there's a few little things such as drainage pipes that you saw in the box in the initial opening. Those drainage pipes will connect up and just have a nice pipe. Because we've got a deck with a floor underneath, there's nothing underneath. We can pretty much go straight down and under and out, but we'll find the best route for that. Other than that, guys, that's a wrap. I think it was good. See you guys.